Emily, and today I am here to finish a project that I've been working on all year, and that is my year of reading Willa Cather. So a few days ago, I finished Sapphira and the Slave Girl, which is Willa Cather's last novel before her death, which means I've completed my goal of reading all 12 of her novels and novellas over the course of 2019. And so this is really exciting. So this project came about in February 2017 when I first read Shadows on the Rock by Willa Cather. And this was a book that I had never heard of and I didn't know anything about it. My mom found it at a book swap at her hotel she was staying at, and she read it and she really liked it, and she passed it on to me, and I read it and I really loved it. It's a really great book about a young girl named Cecile and her father living in the late 1600s in what's now Quebec, and of course it's Quebec then, but it's a very limited section of Quebec, and it's about their lives and how they interact with the wild and the natives and everything about it, and it's just really great, and I really loved it. And so I started thinking about how I had heard about all these other works of Willa Cather, but I'd never heard of this one, and I wondered if her other unknown works or lesser known works were just as good. And so this was also, I believe 2017 was when Adam from Memento Mori was doing his What the Fuck project, so I think reading an author's entire work was the thing to do on BookTube then. So anyway, so I was thinking about reading all of her works, and it never really came to pass. And then in late 2018, I happened to be on the Willa Cather archive for some reason. I can't remember why now, and the Willa Cather archive is really cool. It's got summaries of her work and her letters and all kinds of stuff. I'll link it down there if you're interested. And anyway, I noticed that she had 12 novels and novellas, because she had their website's divided into her novels and novellas, and then her short stories, and then her nonfiction. So she has 12, and I was like, that's perfect. And thus it was born that I was going to read her works in 2019, and I finally completed it. So overall, the experience was not that surprising. I was sort of disappointed in a way because I felt like there might be some more hidden gems in her work, but most of the other works that I read that I'd never read before were novellas, and novellas are kind of hard to, you feel like it's over before it even starts, and so that most of the ones that were left were novellas, and so that probably contributed to the fact that they're not as well known. And before I started this project, I was fairly well read with Willa Cather. I'd read Death Comes to the Archbishop in college, so I had read that one, and I'd also read O Pioneers, or no wait, this is O Pioneers, and My Ántonia before as well. So I had read, and then of course Shadows on the Rock I had read. And so the other ones I had never read, and even Son of the Lark, I think I read some kind of abridged version because it did seem very familiar, but I don't think I'd read this whole big thing. I don't know. But anyway, so I was pretty well versed in Willa Cather's work before even starting the project. But the ones I had never read before were mostly novellas. And I noticed, of course, reading all 12 of them, that she does have a very similar writing style with her books. So it usually is following one main person, and we see their lives and the course of their life, and then at the end, after the main climax and event has happened, there's usually a flash forward in time, and we either see the main character grown up, or we see another person that was mentioned in the narrative who's a lot older, and they sort of give their perspective on what had happened in the previous part of the book. So she's very much interested in looking at a person's life from a faraway vantage point, so that is a really obvious thing. Of course, she's also well known for her Western stories. All of these three main ones that she's known for are set in the West. So a lot of her other books that aren't as well known are set in places other than the West, like Shadows of the Rock, of course, is set in Canada, and then the one I just finished, the Sapphira and the Slave Girl, is set in Virginia in the 1850s, so, a different time period. And then, like, Lucy Gayheart is set in Chicago in the early 1900s, and then The Professor's House is set in New York City in the early 1900s. So all of her books that aren't set in the western part of the United States are lesser known. So overall, I was happy that I did this. I learned a lot about Willa Cather, and actually in this book, there's a chronology of her life that I'm planning to look at and read, and there's also some notes about her writing process in the back of the book that I'm really interested in reading. So I did own a lot of her works. I bought Sound of the Lark for this project. And I also bought One of Ours for this project, but I gave it away. So One of Ours is the one that she won the Pulitzer Prize for in 1923, and I actually did not like that one very much. I found it kind of slow and boring, and so I was actually pretty surprised that she had won the Pulitzer Prize for that book instead of one of these other ones that's a lot more interesting and exciting. But so so I gave that one away to my mom, and then my mom gave it away to somebody else. So I don't have that one anymore. But I did make use of these collections of her works from my library. This one's her latest novel, but then later novels, but they also had her earlier novels, and I used that. And then, of course, a couple of them I already had. And then this one I bought along with one of our own because one of ours, because my library did not have either one of these books. But overall, really great experience. I definitely recommend Willa Cather. I wouldn't really recommend reading all of her works because, again, a lot of her lesser known works are novellas and kind of short, and sometimes they're hard to get into. But her more well-known works, if you haven't read them, I would definitely check them out. Death Comes for the Archbishop is really great, and then my Ántonia is also really great, and O Pioneers is really great. And then, of course, my favorite of all of her works, Shadows on the Rock, is really great, and I'm really glad that I reread this. It was a 5-star read, again, on the second rereading, so it was a really great book. And I think I just really like Cecile because she's sort of younger. A lot of the other characters are sort of older, in their 20s or 30s, so this one was really great and really interesting and really beautiful. So that's all I have to say. I don't have much else to say in terms of insight. I wasn't very good about taking notes on the books, so now the ones I read in January and February I don't remember that much about. But overall, Willa Cather, and actually I was going to say more about Sapphira and the Slave Girl because I didn't really wrap it up anywhere. This is interesting because it's sort of glorifying the slavery, but then it also is showing you how slaves that worked in an easy household, they still wanted to, their freedom, and they wanted to run away, and their mistress or masters didn't think of them as, fully people, and they also, it's sort of about how, there's this assumption that slaves are contented in their life, even when they're obviously not, and so it's about the disconnect of masters and mistresses and the slaves inner lives. So it's a pretty interesting book. It was definitely different than her other books, and it was written a lot later than her other books, so it's clear that she's been thinking a lot about different perspectives and different things that maybe she wasn't so focused on earlier in her life. But overall, this was a really interesting read. Willa Cather has quite a good range of works, and I definitely recommend checking them out and reading the summaries. You'll probably find something that appeals to you. So yeah, I really enjoyed Willa Cather's overall works, and I hope everybody else had a great reading experience this year and this month, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye!